Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Zdenek's English podcast. And also, welcome back if you are one of my YouTube subscribers and you're watching this as a video. Today, I'm joined by Vicky. Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good.
Cool. This is one of those recordings or let's say interviews that I don't know how it's going to go because it's literally the first time I talk to you.
This is true. I think it's going to go fine. It's going to be
Yeah,
smooth sailing. We'll just
exactly.
chat and relax and
I like it because you don't know what's going to happen, so it's kind of exciting. So
could, could go either way, but let's hope for the best.
exactly, it could go multiple ways,
It really good.
multiple different
It'll have
ways.
ups and downs like a roller coaster. It'll be fine.
Exactly, Vicky.
Keep people
So
entertained.
yeah, as long as people are entertained, and
Yeah.
as long as it's English, yeah, that's what matters. This is a podcast for English learners, so
Yeah.
ultimately, as long as we speak English, it doesn't really matter.
So far, so good then. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you are just anyone. That's not what I was trying to imply there, Vicky.
I didn't even pick up on that. Now I'm wondering, but
Vicky, why don't you introduce yourself to us?
well, the most important part has already happened. I'm Vicky. It's like it's true. I think that's a little, like
Great. Now that this is
there
out of
you
the way.
go. Now that that's out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I'm an English teacher as well, and this is probably something we'll touch on, but I'm originally from Nebraska in the USA. And I now call Spain my home as well. I like to call them both my home, even
Right.
though I spend most of the time in Spain.
Now, I'm glad that I picked up on it because I wasn't sure 100%, but you sounded from your videos on Instagram, you sounded like an American person. So I was like, she seems American, but you know how it is these days. People have an American accent, a fantastic American accent, and they might be from somewhere else. You never know. So I was like,
Well, if you heard my Spanish accent, then you would be like, yeah, she's American. They pick up
okay,
on it much quicker when I'm speaking Spanish. I have
okay,
a really strong American accent in my Spanish, which is
okay.
which is fine. I'm cool
Well,
with it.
now that you described it like that, everyone is curious to hear your American accent in Spanish.
Well, then you can come to Spain and
Ah,
experience it in person. Because didn't you say that we are here to share the English language with them?
we are, we are.
Uh, nice try though. Nice try.
Yeah. Okay, then. I tried. I'll try again later, maybe. We'll see. Okay, Vicky, you're an English teacher, and that's how we met each other because you started responding to my Instagram stories,
Yeah.
and
Well, because you're so into, I mean, obviously we call it soccer in the States, but you're so
oh,
into football. They call it football in Spain, so it's cool for me to call it football.
come on, Vicky. You should have learned by now. It's football, okay?
Yeah, but if I'm stateside, I have to edit myself because it's
Of course.
confusing for my Nebraska friends. If I'm like, yeah, at least my husband, at least
Yeah.
Felipe was watching a football game the other day, and they're like, oh, thinking that it's American football. I'm like, no, the football that everybody else calls football, not
I mean,
not just
it sounds like almost like a cliche or something that people like. We always say this, right? But then it probably happens to you. You probably really have to say this all the
oh,
time.
yeah, it actually can get confusing. It's not
Yeah,
confusing for me anymore. It was in the beginning when I first came to Spain that I just assumed everybody was talking about American football. But
yeah,
now I know that nobody is talking about it when they're conversing with me. So,
I see. Well,
yeah.
basically, this is how we started communicating because you responded to my stories or posts,
Yeah.
and I don't always do this. But I mean, maybe you have that right attitude when when different English teachers are on Instagram. We sort of like help each other out. We click like, click, click like, It's hard to say click
That's
like.
hard to say.
We click like here and
You
there,
could just say, we like it.
Yeah, I know, but
That's what they say nowadays, the
yeah,
youngins.
I wanted to use the verb to click for some reason, but it didn't exactly click, did it?
Well, because you chose the word like after it, which made it
Yeah,
much more complicated.
exactly.
See, I
Yeah,
haven't even tried to repeat it because it feels like a tongue twister.
it is a tongue twister. There's the
Yeah.
k sound, like, click,
Yeah.
click, like. 3 k sounds in a quick succession. That's why.
Yeah. Created a wonderful tongue twister for people to try
Okay,
out.
click like. Okay, listeners, everyone, repeat after me. Click like and say it 10 times
5
at
times
least.
fast.
Okay, and
But
good
yeah,
luck with
it's
it, by
true.
the way.
Yeah.
Sarcastically. Good luck with it.
But
Okay.
yeah, that's true. That's how it started. And I I don't know. I think that it's because I feel like I already relate to teachers, being a
Yeah.
teacher. So I'm like, oh, we're already friends. So I can message all of these other teachers like,
You,
hey,
of course you
it's a
can. No,
teacher
no.
friend.
I don't know how
I'm
others
supporting
respond,
you.
but
Love what you're doing.
yeah. I don't know how others respond, but I'm okay with this, of course. We are like partners in crime almost.
Yeah, I feel like other teachers are
Yeah.
ooh, yeah, that they respond the same way.
Yeah, we have to do the same things to make those posts. And from our point of view, it's also a bit of nuisance sometimes, right? We always have to like,
I'm much more into the story posts, like just putting stuff on stories than
yeah.
nowadays than coming up with an actual post like a reel
Mm,
and all of
yeah.
that because they
So
seem
the stuff, the
so
different
tech techy.
technical, techie,
Yeah,
yeah,
and just
off-putting
not to
a
that
little
level.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like the talking head ones, those are a little easier, but make like a cool one. Feel like I need a videographer and I don't
Yeah,
have one.
you have to. I think the key is you just have to be okay with okay. Like once you
Yeah,
try
I've
to be
definitely become
perfect,
okay with okay
yeah,
in
once you
many
try
things
to
in
be
life.
perfect, you're gonna, you know, you're never gonna be happy with what you're producing, right? You just have to accept that
Mhm.
you're not a professional marketer, and we just need to make some
Yeah,
posts from our life. You're
I'm just
probably
a
doing the
teacher.
right thing. You're probably doing the right thing, making stories because it's authentic, it's natural, it's from your life. Your followers will get to know you better.
And I enjoy it. So I just kind of go with that as well. Do what you enjoy.
Yeah, I
And
should
then
do.
you also
Mm,
transmit that to people. So,
absolutely. Okay, Vicky, you have to tell us your Instagram handle now. Come on.
oh, well, it's pretty simple. It's my name, my full name, Vickie Kelty. So it's at Vickie Kelty, but it's Vickie spelled Vickie.
Yeah.
Vicki as in ice cream, E as in elephant.
Hmm.
And then Kelty for Kelty.
K
Vickie Kelty.
E L T.
Yeah, Kelty as in
Mhm.
yogurt.
And then yogurt.
Y as in yogurt.
I
you
was
should
about to.
you should hear me when I'm spelling this out in Spanish to people and I'm trying to think of okay, what's a word that starts with Y? What's a word that starts cuz you have to spell out each letter to make sure that they
Yeah.
they know
The,
how
the,
to spell Vickie Kelty.
the reason I'm asking is because I want to put it up on screen, and I was literally about
Oh,
to.
well, can I
I
put
was
it in the
literally
chat
about to
here?
write.
Oh,
I was literally
yogurt.
about to write yogurt, and then I was like, maybe she means the icon, yogurt icon, like the emoji, and I
Would
was like,
that be really cool? I'm not really into yogurt, so I would choose the little chocolate emoji. That would be the
I
emoji of
was
my choice.
just about to ask you, are you vegan? But then you said you're into chocolate, and that doesn't.
Um, I I used to be lacto-ovo vegetarian, but now I'm more of a pescatarian.
Pescatarian. So you have to explain what it means now.
Well, it means that my mother-in-law can cook more food for me. So
Oh, is that the
because
definition? Is that the definition of the word pescatarian?
it's
Oh,
the
okay.
definition. Because the Spanish omelet is really popular here in Spain.
Yep.
And that was basically like the one thing that she could cook for me. It has eggs in it, but I ate eggs, so it's fine.
Yeah.
But everything else they ate was meat or fish. And so I was like, okay, I will add fish to my diet, and then it will be easier to eat at my in-laws' house.
Okay.
So,
Excellent.
yeah.
So going back to our original point, so we this is your Instagram, Vickie ELTY, no yogurt there at the end. It's Y as in yogurt, as in yogurt. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry to confuse everybody with.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. I do that
I
all
should
the
have spelled
time
out
here.
every single letter, not just a couple.
All good. All good. It's the most important thing is that the listeners will be able to find you now. So, Vickie, you're here to talk about homesickness. You chose this as a topic, which I think is really interesting. And I think it's something you relate to, and that's why you chose it. Am I right?
Well, yes, and I was I was actually more curious. Yes, I chose it because I relate to it, but I also chose it because I wondered if you related to it, because one of the times, like one of the first times that I messaged you, or I remember messaging you,
Yeah.
was because of something that you were saying about being in Ireland, or yeah, I think it was that you were at a
Yeah.
camp in Ireland teaching.
Yeah. I was teaching at a summer camp in Dublin. Yeah. For a month.
Yeah, and so I was remembering that because I've recently returned from Nebraska, and just while I was in Nebraska and now that I'm back in Spain, there's
Yeah.
things that I miss in each place when I'm in each
Of course.
place.
And it's not like you can travel back and forth every single month because it's the ticket is expensive and
Oh,
you have to plan such thing, right?
yeah, it's more of a once a year type thing.
And you kind of know it. And when you are on that plane, you know that before you come back, you will have to tick off several days on your calendar.
Yeah, like a month.
I was wondering if you have one of those calendars where you like tear off the day. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah. We don't have a tear off the day calendar, but we do have a tear off the month calendar.
Ah,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Every year, different businesses in town, they give a bunch of calendars, and so we choose which of the calendars that businesses have given us to put on our wall, the calendar of honor.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Fantastic.
it
So
has
so now we know you.
all the
Yeah.
doctor's appointments and the Real Madrid football games on it. So these are the important things
Of
on the
course, of
calendar.
course. Well, you've mentioned your husband a few times, and you talk about football a lot. So now we need to ask, like, is your husband football player, like Cristiano Ronaldo or someone like that? Or
He's a fan.
football
He's
fan?
the top fan of he's a Madridista. He's definitely a Real Madrid fan. Yeah.
Is he Spanish?
He is. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. So now we know why you picked this topic. Let's explore it.
Yep.
Shall we? So I want to ask. So, well, I don't think we need to define do we need to define what is it? What is homesickness even? What does it even mean? I mean, it's kind of you can
In
kind
the
of tell
word.
from the name
Yeah.
itself, right? From the word itself.
Yeah.
Does it
Well,
mean that when you are at home you feel sick?
I feel like maybe they should call it more like home, like home sadness instead of
Yeah.
sickness.
Exactly.
Maybe some people do get like physically ill, as in vomiting or something like
Yeah.
that, but I feel like it's more of missing the place than
Yeah.
yeah.
And mhm. and I think it's an adjective, right? To be homesick. You say I am homesick. Yeah. So we
Mm-hmm.
use this. It's an adjective. We use it after the verb to be, right?
I am
Is there
homesick.
like
I
a
have homesickness.
so it
Yeah.
can be a noun. Homesickness is
Mm-hmm.
a noun, but I don't think it can be a verb. You say I feel
I
homesick, right?
I
I am
homesick.
homesick.
No.
Yeah.
We could give it a couple of years. We could probably turn it into one if we use it enough. But like Facebook, it's a verb. So,
Exactly. Now,
but
I just wanted
we'll
to
really have to try.
clarify that. And so I think we have the definition is that you feel like you feel you're missing your home. You miss your home, and
Hmm.
you probably get this feeling when you're living in another country, right, for a longer time.
Yeah.
Or do you think can you feel homesick if you go somewhere for a shorter period of time?
This is what I kind of wondered in relation to, for example, you were in Dublin. How long were you there?
1 month.
1 month. Okay. So some people might think, oh, well, 1 month, that's not a very long time. How
Yeah.
could you possibly feel any kind of loss or sadness about leaving that? But did you go immediately back to the
Yeah.
Czech Republic or did
Yeah.
you go? Okay.
No.
And after you got back, what did you have any feelings of missing anything about Ireland?
No. Like no emotions when it comes to like homesickness. This was a
Mm.
short thing for me, and I have done it before many times, and I have lived abroad
Mm.
a longer time as well. Like I've lived in the UK twice, once for 1.5 years, another time right before COVID for almost a year. So for me, like 1 month in another country,
It wasn't
it's
enough.
enough. It's nothing. And I think it also depends on what are you actually getting back to. What's there for you back home, or like it depends, right? Because personally, I'm a single guy, and I'm a kind of I can be a digital nomad, and it doesn't really matter where I am.
Hmm.
So I'm not patriotic, like I have to be in the Czech Republic and wave the Czech national flag. No. I don't really care where I am, as long as the people are nice there.
So you don't feel it. It sounds like you don't have like roots in a place.
Yeah, well, it's complicated, but maybe I used to at some point, but it's complicated now. So for me, like I'm at this stage of like I'm this digital guy, right? I teach online, I do my podcasts, videos. So the things I do to get by financially
Yeah.
are to do with the computer and the internet, and that's all you need, right? So I can always take my laptop with me, and I don't know if there are any places now in
Yeah.
the world without the internet. It's everywhere, right? Almost. So, what about you? Let's talk about you.
No, not yet. I have I have a follow-up question.
Okay,
I'm so
okay then.
interested because I just find it really interesting the the element of sometimes my students will go to live someplace
Yeah.
for a month, like you say,
Okay.
with the intention of learning the language. And then when they come back, because I can relate to this too, of having this kind of like loss of that country. And I wonder if
Right.
when you lived in the UK, like for that longer period,
Yeah.
do you ever have things now that come up that you miss about the UK? Or yeah,
Again,
that's my
like
question.
because my life is I'm a teacher. Yeah, you know that. So
Yeah.
90% of my time I speak English anyway. Most of my students are high level learners, so I can speak English at a decent level. I don't have to grade down my language too much.
Mhm.
If all my students were elementary students, then yes, I would miss it, because then I would have to speak in a very simple way, slowly, and it would get boring and all that.
Hmm.
But because not much is really changing, right?
But
When
no
I
other
when I go back,
elements of the country?
I don't really care about that too much. You see, I'm not that.
Not like the
I,
food or
well, you can get food, like any kind of food. You can prepare any kind of food anywhere you go, right?
well, I don't know. I some of the Spanish food I would struggle to copy that, honestly, because
because
that's some of the stuff that
mm,
I missed when I was back in the States
is it because
visiting
you
my
don't
family.
because is it because you can't get those ingredients easily, or because are you talking about like eating in restaurants or getting takeaways, or I don't understand.
No, no, like the food that my mother-in-law would make, like
Oh,
some of
well,
the
that's a person, mother-in-law. Okay, that's
mother-in-law cooking.
yeah. Now
It
we know
can't
the
be
real reason
copied.
behind it. You miss your mother-in-law. Come on.
Well, of course, I miss the, the people as well. But so you don't have any um, people as well that
I
you miss?
understand. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, that different people. I guess
I'm trying
people.
to make you homesick.
No,
Apparently.
I can feel homesick. Don't get me wrong, but like because I have done this a few times now, it feels like it's in my comfort zone. It's I don't think because I always know like I can go back. Right? There's no like it's not like I'm going somewhere for good. Or
Yeah,
and I can always make these decisions, and it gets easier. The more often you do it, it gets easier, doesn't it?
sure. Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, the homesickness feeling is fleeting. Like it just comes and goes.
Yeah.
I'll be eating out with friends and I'm like, oh gosh, it'd go really good with this.
Hmm.
Some of that manchego cheese that we have in La Mancha. That'd be really good. I'm like, oh, I can't have any right now. and then something happens and I forget that I had been thinking about that and
Yeah.
I'm back in
I see.
the zone with my friends.
So how
And
long
I'm
does
home
it
myself.
last? So let's try to analyze this feeling then. So how long does this feeling last for you?
Oh,
Like
for me,
yeah,
no, it's like really fleeting. Yeah, like a moment,
like a moment.
less than an hour. Like if I'm by myself, less than an hour. I don't think that I really
And
sit and
and
wallow
so so
in.
so if you were to describe it, so is it like do you feel genuinely sad or what is it?
It
Oh,
depends.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nostalgic maybe would be a good word to use here as well. Nostalgic, sad.
Mhm.
Um
Yeah. Sometimes it's just like right now I'm really happy because I brought some some Pop Tarts back from the States.
okay.
Have you had Pop Tarts before?
No idea what they are. You have to tell us what they are now.
Well, let's see. I can't do them justice, I'm sure, but they're a toaster pastry,
Okay.
and they have they're they're. I mean, Homer Simpson would love these because they aren't donuts, but they're basically the same as having a donut for breakfast. Like it's just
This is a
not doctor
excellent
recommended.
excellent explanation.
But
Now that you said Homer Simpson would love them, I mean everybody knows. Because who doesn't know Homer Simpson, right?
yeah. So for some reason, they decided that Homer Simpson would love donuts, but they easily could have chosen Pop Tarts, these nice toaster pastries. And mine
Okay.
are like chocolate filled with chocolate. So they're very rich and delicious. And I hadn't had them since, I don't know, like 2019. So I was really craving some Pop Tarts and they'll probably be gone by tomorrow, but at least I had, this 1 month. But so that's the thing, like I get my fix and then a couple months later, maybe there'll be something that reminds me of I'm a food person, so I think that the my homesickness is brought on mostly by food. Maybe that's not what other
No,
people relate
no,
to, but
I'm sure this is one of the I don't know if you could call it triggers or something
yeah.
like that. It could be one of the triggers. So I'm just trying to sort of think about like what is it then? How do we describe this feeling? So for me it's like sadness, it's like a little bit of nostalgia. Maybe there could be like that feeling of, am I doing the right thing? Am I in the right place? Like some sort of searching for identity, self-doubting and these things. Is it possible that this is related?
Yes, I think that that it would be, for me, the like perfect world for me would be to be able to live in both Nebraska and Spain.
Mm.
Because
Get a
like
teleport. You need a teleport for sure.
that would be fabulous. So if somebody could get me that
Yeah.
with a like discount coupon,
Mhm.
that'd be great. Because I
You buy
imagine that would be
discount
pretty
coupon, and
pricey.
maybe you just have one in your household. Maybe you don't have to
Oh
even.
my gosh, that would be so great. That kind of like the little elevator outside the apartment that you just beep, boop, beep. And then you pop over to Nebraska for the weekend and you come back and have Spain during the week. And then,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I would love that. But yeah, so I think that sometimes it definitely runs through my head, this like, oh, living in Spain forever is a long time. I'm missing out on these other things.
Yeah.
And I just got to the point where you can't play that mind game. Like, you're in Spain, enjoy
Yeah.
Spain. You're in the States, enjoy the States.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
So do you think there are any ways you can prevent this feeling, or maybe that's the wrong word, maybe mitigate it, or just make it less impactful, or I don't know what the word is. Is
well,
there
I
a
think you
way?
should acknowledge it. Like, pretending it doesn't exist would be the wrong way to go. Because it's just like with any feeling that you have. If you're
Yeah.
angry and you're just like, anger is not allowed, I'm not going to that. Yeah. Let me know how that goes. Because it's probably not going to work out so well.
Mm.
So yeah,
That's
you just have
interesting.
to acknowledge it.
So if you suppress it, it could sort of make things worse. That's the point you're
I think
making.
so. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think so for sure. So I just kind of sit with it. I'm like, hang out with me, homesickness. And let's
Is that how
be
you?
friends.
Is that what you really do? Do you really speak to?
I was gonna say, I'm not ashamed to say, but I am a little embarrassed to say that I do that.
Do you speak to
So
it?
why not, buddy? So maybe I don't say it out loud, but I did have some times where I was kind of just sad because I was missing things about Spain, and
Yeah.
when I was by myself. And it was less so when I was with all my other friends. And sometimes my husband gets to come back to the States with me, and he couldn't this time. And so when I was with my friends, it was more of him missing out on these moments that he could have
Yeah.
otherwise been a part of. So I was like, oh, that's such a bummer that he doesn't get to be
Yeah.
here for that.
This is interesting because like you're a couple and you probably don't experience homesickness in the same way because he's Spanish, you're American, and then
Yeah,
it doesn't it when it comes or when it happens, the other person doesn't feel it, like, doesn't, because if you're in
that could be
America,
really tough.
you're back home and he is homesick. But if you're in Spain, maybe you are the one who is homesick and he's okay. So
Yes, yes, totally. And that's just true about like a relationship in general, that you're
yeah,
experiencing things in different ways. So it can be really hard to sometimes to
juggle it. Or,
yeah, and to understand the other person, where they're coming from when you're not feeling that at all.
yeah.
You're like, I don't know what you're going through. So I
But
don't
then again,
remember 2 months ago when I was
yeah,
going through that.
I was just about to say, then again, of all people, you should know what it feels like.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you talk to it
I mean, like, I'll have to replay this podcast so I can be like, this is what you were feeling, Vickie.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what he's feeling right now.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So
But I find it really
yeah,
interesting that you don't necessarily relate to any of these
I, I
feelings or
do.
experiences.
I do, but not when I'm in Ireland for a month. Like that's not enough for me. You know,
Yeah, well, that I also find interesting because I've studied abroad and maybe it's different because I go back to, I don't know. I'm not finishing what I'm saying because I'm thinking so much.
that's
But
okay.
like,
We
so
like that. We like that here. Don't worry.
just like analyzing as I'm, so like I studied abroad in Mexico for a month when I was in the
Yeah.
university. And when I came back, I definitely felt like I was missing um, elements of that experience.
I feel like the older I am, like the faster time goes, and like 1 month is just 4 weeks. Like this,
Hmm.
I,
It
I,
was the first time I studied abroad, so maybe that was part of it.
yeah. And I know, I was a teacher there, so I just did my job there, and I have done it before. It wasn't the first time I had taught um, on the British Isles. Like I have taught in London a few times before. So like if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're getting yourself into, then I guess it's less. You feel this less. I don't know. But it could just be me that I'm different. Like it's you are portraying me like this person that doesn't have any kind of feelings. Like I'm starting to feel
He's
like a
heartless.
psychopath. I'm starting to feel like a psychopath almost.
And I'm like, come on, didn't you have some little bit of sadness at all? Are you
This
made
is
of
what
stone?
I would expect my psychiatrist to tell me if I go and ask, "Am I normal? Am I okay?
Like,
I don't. I'm not feeling anything.
tell me why you think
Is
that.
something wrong with me?" And he would be like, Don't you feel at least something?" No.
And the answer is no, I do not.
Okay.
Well,
Then
case
the
closed
diagnosis is
then.
that you are really mentally ill.
Robot.
Yeah, robot.
Heartless robot. Oh, well, there you go.
Exactly. Okay, I was just also wondering, like, so when you're relocating or moving out or whatever, that you've got these different phases, right? Like the planning phase. So I was just wondering, how hard is it for you to make that kind of decision? Because I find that I'm always indecisive about this, and I tend to procrastinate on making decisions and um doing the things that I should do in order to make it work. Like maybe I need to get a visa, I need to apply for a visa. I keep postponing it, even though like in my head I've already decided to do it. I still don't apply for the visa until the last moment. Like, do you sometimes have something like that as well?
Totally. High
Yeah.
five on
Okay.
procrastinating. Um, I mean, we shouldn't promote that, but secretly, high five. Um, yeah. So I can relate to putting things off so much because I'm actually going to India next month
Okay.
and with one of my friends. And I had to apply for a visa for it. And she had got hers back at the beginning of October, maybe the end of
Mhm,
September.
mhm.
And I got mine. So we'll say like almost 30 days before I got mine. So this is like just to show the difference between somebody who maybe it doesn't procrastinate, just does things on. But everything was already like everything else has already been planned out. So like if I didn't get this, then we're yeah, we're in bad shape. And that is just kind of, I don't know. That's just the way that I do vacations. My trip for Nebraska, I decided on it, and then 2 weeks later had my ticket, and a week after that I left. So I mean, it was bam, bam, bam. I
Yeah.
just don't. Yeah.
For me, this is tough because like I make a decision in my head, or maybe even that takes a long time to convince myself that this I should start making those steps, right? So I've been talking about these things on my podcast. Like this podcast has been going on for many years now, and my long-term listeners know that in some of the earlier podcasts I started talking about um, the dream of going to England and working there as a teacher, but it took me several years to do it, you know. So it's like, it's for me, it's a tough call to always make that decision, because uh I don't know what it is. I don't think it's always like out of fear or insecurity. It's just sometimes it's just comfortable to be where you are, and just, you know, this is exciting to go somewhere, but it's also a little bit there's this world of unknown, and a lot of things could go wrong, and nah, let's do it tomorrow, or let's next year, you know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it gets put off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had originally wanted to go back because I usually go back to Nebraska once a year, but COVID was a really good excuse to like, well, let's just wait. Let's just wait. That seems
Yeah.
like some hurdles that I don't want to jump over right now.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll put it off again. And then
Yeah.
this summer I said, are we going to put this off forever? Because you just need to, I don't know, like sometimes you just need to do
Do
the thing. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know. The thing is I don't know what ends up pushing you over the edge so that you finally just dive in. But I feel like there's always something that, and maybe that's just for me, my personality, that there's something that will eventually just push you over the edge, and not in a bad way, like so that you'll take the leap and take the
The-
next steps to do it.
yeah, the thing is, like, I do plan a few things here and there, like, but I can also be this spontaneous person. I'm not like 100% planner, and I need the bit of spontaneity in that decision making process. It's really interesting with me, and then I just do it, and I don't go back. You know, I don't look back. So I don't want to have any regrets or anything like that. I just do it, and that's it.
Yeah,
But,
because
but
once the
yeah.
decision's made, there's no point in being like, well, and especially once you bought like a ticket or something.
Oh, that's yeah. It's past that already.
At that point, the thing that irks me the most is after I've bought a ticket and somebody goes, "Oh, look at this ticket I found for a cheaper price." I'm like, "No, don't tell me that. There's nothing I can do. Do not even show it to me. I don't want to know."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same that, and I don't know if I'm really truly curious if other people are like this, but I have some things that I do plan out, and
Mhm.
then like you say, other things that
Yeah.
it's just kind of like
Yeah.
fly
And
by the seat of your pants of what's going to happen.
I would even say that I thrive in that. I honestly do. Like, even the way I teach, sometimes I know perhaps I shouldn't say it. Maybe some uh, uh, ELT inspectors would.
Spoiler moment.
I mean, my students and listeners and followers know this about me, but it's just I feel like that's my strength. You know, this ability to be spontaneous and uh, off the cuff, like do things off the cuff. And I feel like this is one of my strengths. Yeah. And I teach in that kind of way as well. But then,
Yeah.
and then there are times when it's good to plan things as well, like when I'm planning my course, my group course, or something like that. So I appreciate that as well. But I can't be that. I can't only be that planner guy. Like if I
Yes,
had just
you need
everything
the mix.
planned in my. Sorry.
You need the mix of
Yeah,
both.
yeah, yeah. Exactly. Like
Yep, I'm
I
right
would
there.
get bored if everything was planned in my life, and I would just you're like this. almost like a slave to your timetable, and I just hate that. So yeah.
No, I totally relate to that as well, because like when I've done different teacher training things, I know you've done the Delta, right? I don't know if they do course, where they make you do the course planning,
Yeah,
like the
they
lesson
make
planning.
you do a lot of things. Yeah.
In the CELTA, I know that they do. I assumed that in the Delta they made you do that as well, but like on a more intense
Yeah, Delta
scale.
is just yeah, like the same thing, like
Just more
but
intense.
100 times more intense. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the main
that's what I
difference. Yeah.
heard.
But the idea, or the concept is more or less the same. Yeah.
Gotcha. So the planning that they make you do for that, where you have to, I mean, basically plan out every single second of what you're going to be doing in your class, in theory is fine. But if I actually did that for every single lesson, then I think that I would need a year rest, like 1 year on, 1 year off, because it'd be too much for me. So I'm definitely more of your style of I go in with my rough idea and
Yeah.
then kind of just whatever
So
happens.
sometimes, Vicky, all I need is just one word, and that's the topic of the lesson. No, honestly, because
Oh my gosh, let's try and think of
that's
a
yeah.
word for your like, what was a word that inspired you in the past?
Uh, well,
Can you think of
what I
one?
do, for example, I have live YouTube lessons, right? And I
Yeah.
just pick one word, like this. That's the topic. And okay, you could have like something simple like family, hobbies, sports, right? But I go with last time I went with the topic, or not last time, but one of the times I went with the topic bathroom, ice cream, and one of the topics is sunglasses even. And yes, yesterday I was teaching my, coincidentally, was it yesterday? What was, no, 2 days
Eh,
ago I was teaching my Spanish student.
mm,
Today is Thursday. This is the time.
Today
This
is
is the
Thursday,
day
yeah.
of recording, and I was teaching my Spanish student on Tuesday, and I was wondering what we would do. And I said, oh, hang on, I have got this database of topics that I use for my YouTube lives. I'm gonna send them to my student, and
And have
let
them
her
choose?
pick one of the topics, right? And then she was
Ah,
looking at the topics, and she was like, "What are these?" She was like, "Sunglasses." That's really, how
I'm
can,
intrigued.
and she picked it,
Wow.
because it sounded so weird, right? How she
Yeah,
was wondering like how you can do a topic about, how you can do the entire lesson about sunglasses, and then we just did it, and I had like a series of questions prepared for that, and it
yeah.
worked, and
Well,
you,
that's
yeah,
basically what I made you do today. I was like, homesickness, go,
exactly.
work
I
your
love it.
magic.
I love it. This is the best. This is the best way to do it, Vicky.
I
Yes.
I think that all learners could learn from that they should just pick a word for today and let that. It's kind of like on Sesame Street. I think they used to have like I say used to because I'm I don't watch it now.
Oh,
I could because it's very entertaining, I'm sure. But if I remember correctly, they had not a word of the day, a letter, like today is brought to you by the letter M.
yeah.
And then it would like come up in the show somehow. So I think people should do that.
I
Have
just,
a day or a word for their
yeah.
day.
I just like how it allows me to be creative, and I don't feel these constraints of having to follow a lesson plan.
Mhm.
Of course, if my student has a specific need, if there is something we need to work on, yeah, sure, we do it. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have different types of lessons, but with quite a reasonable number of students, I do it in this kind of way. We just have a topic, or something happens in the news, and we just build the entire lesson around it, and
Yeah.
it's conversation based,
Well,
and
yeah.
and of course my students get a lot of the teaching from me as well, because I give a lot of feedback, and I push my students, to correct themselves and all that. But yeah,
Well, because really what the whole lesson plan idea is like the idea behind that is that you're using a course book, and so you're following the course book and you have it planned out
yeah,
to go with that. So if because I think I'm similar to you in that we don't use course books as our way of teaching. So, and we both focus on the communication element, the conversation. And so it's just not the most effective way for us to go about planning our lessons, for us to be the useful teachers, you know, that we're trying to be to our students. So, yeah. So we'll just have to come up with our own CELTA course or Delta that. All right.
I honestly think there's a lot of value in doing it the way we do it as well. And ultimately, it's the client. You know, if the client is happy, if the students are happy, they feel like they are progressing. They feel like they enjoy studying with me or you. Then what's the problem, right?
And what did your student say about the sunglasses lesson?
She was okay with it. We had the lesson.
There you go.
Yeah.
Success.
I can't remember her exact words, but she seemed happy and
sent the emoji with the sunglasses on. Super cool.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Vickie, I'm afraid we will have to leave it there because I have to dash very soon. Yeah, have to dash off. So thank you very much for being on the podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, to get to know you, actually. Yeah.
Same. From behind the IG stories to
exactly. Yeah.
here.
It's still not the same as if we met in person, but it's close enough.
Well, when you come to Spain for one of your, maybe you can meet your student. We can have just a big old get together.
It is one of the places I should go to at some point. Definitely. I've got more friends there now, and and you as well now. So
yes, add me to the list.
And of course, Spanish football is fantastic as well. So a lot of reasons to go there. Nice
Duly
country.
Noted. Good shout out there.
They have the sea as well. You know, a lot of reasons to go there.
They have many good things here. Yep. And my mother-in-law's cooking. So.
Okay. Fantastic, Vickie. Thanks again for featuring on this podcast, and I'll speak to you soon.
Ciao.
Cheers. Bye, everyone. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please give us a like. Bye-bye.